Imagine a door so reinforced that every prayer you have ever whispered sounds like a child's knock against armor. You lean, you weep, you bargain, but the hinges do not yield. What if the problem is not the sincerity of your plea, but the method you're using to approach the door? What if God, the source, the monad, or however you name the divine, has always been answering, but in a language of frequency and code, and your signal is muffled? I call this the intuition juice, the subtle field that makes you know, sense, and decisively act before the world rearranges itself around your intention. Today, I will offer you a secret recipe, not a medical protocol, not a guaranteed miracle, but a spiritual operational protocol to clear the inner antenna we call the pineal, to tune your intuitive receptor so it can hear the guidance that has been present all along. When I say decalcify the pineal in this message, understand it as metaphor, an energetic unblocking, a sharpening of spiritual reception, not a biological claim. This is a spiritual practice, not medical advice. For years, many of us have been taught to beg at the door, pleading, petitioning, waiting. That posture belongs to a certain posture of dependence, and it has its place. But there is another posture that the texts and the mystics point to, operating as one who remembers. In Scripture, we see Jesus at the tomb of Lazarus. Factually, the Gospel records that Jesus called Lazarus back to life. That is the narrative anchor we will keep. A possible reading, an interpretive frame that some mystical traditions explore, is that Jesus was not simply begging creation to bend. He recognized and enacted a return to original order. According to certain mystical interpretations, that return happened because a code was completed, a circuit closed. I present that reading as an option for how to think about authority and restoration, not as a rewriting of the gospel. Listen, there are two ways to inhabit life. One is the material, the reactive way, the way that tethers you to noise, to external validation, to the clamor of anxious thought. Some traditions call this the hillic mode. The other is the pneumatic mode, the part that carries a spark, a memory, a sovereign orientation toward the source. The task is to move from pleading at the surface into commanding from the core. That shift is what I mean by training the antenna, the pineal, as an instrument of intuition. Before we begin the recipe, understand the stakes. The world is noisy. There are genuine spiritual obstacles described in several mystical maps. Terms like demiurge or archontes come up in those maps. When I reference those, I do so as explanatory metaphors. According to certain mystical traditions, these names describe forces of distortion or interference in the mind. Those frameworks can be useful to name patterns, mental blocks, institutional programming, fear loops, without turning them into literal devils to be battled at every turn. This message is about restoring reception, not fueling paranoia. There are 3 keys you must learn and embody: recognition, authority, command. Recognition is simple but radical. You awaken to the fact that something in you already knows. It is the moment you stop treating intuition as a fickle guest and begin acknowledging it as your native voice. The cue for recognition is a felt remembering, a quiet sense in the chest, an opening like a door unsealing from the inside. Authority is posture. It is the calm, sovereign stance of someone who speaks as one who belongs to the source. It is not arrogance, but a quiet root that does not tremble at every thought. The physical cue is a settled chest, a straightened spine, an inner steadiness. Command is the practiced verbalization of intent, the concise, unconditional line you send into reality. Command is not yelling into the void. It is declaring from the seat of recognition, with the force of a completed decision, and then releasing it. Now I will give you the protocol, 5 sequential moves that, when practiced, operate like a reset for your receptor. These steps are a recipe, a practical workbook of attention and energetic posture. They are not a promise of outcomes, but a clear set of actions you can test and refine. Use them with humility. If you are under medical or psychological care, use discernment, and never substitute this practice for professional guidance. Step 1. Disconnect. Begin by disconnecting from the noise. This is not avoidance, it is strategic withdrawal. Turn off the devices, soft close the mind scroll. Imagine you're stepping off a busy highway into a quiet service road. Physically, allow your shoulders to drop. Mentally, notice the stream of thoughts without engaging. Name 3 categories of noise: urgent demands, habitual anxieties, external opinions, and let them sit at the perimeter like weather passing beyond a window. For 30 seconds, simply observe. You do not have to fix anything. The point of disconnect is to make a clean field in which the next steps can operate. Step 2. Descent. Move your attention from the top of the head, where thinking is heavy, down along the spine to the chest center. Picture an elevator descending a subtle shaft, carrying your awareness down to a throne room at the heart. This is sensory work. Feel weight settle into the chest. Sense the ribcage as a cathedral that can hold presence. If it helps, place your hand lightly over the center of your chest as an anchor. The descent is not escape. It is relocation of command. The chest is the bridge between feeling and speech. It is the place where recognition takes form. As you descend, breathe in a way that lets the torso expand gently. You may notice a tingling, a warmth, an odd softening of the jaw. Those sensations are not necessary to succeed, but they are typical markers that the attention is moving. Step 3. Resonance. When you arrive in the chest, make it resonate. Think of the chest as a tuning fork. Hold a posture of inner listening. Do not intellectualize. Listen with presence. Invite a tone. Imagine the subtle hum of your deepest knowing. You can use a single-word anchor like I am or source to sustain the field. Hold the word without demanding that images or answers come. Feel the vibration that arises when your inner chamber vibrates with the name. Extend that resonance outward by imagining the hum moving up toward the center of the head, through the subtle spaces behind the eyes, and resting gently at the site we metaphorically identify with the pineal. This is a trained rehearsal. You are tuning an antenna by creating a clean, steady carrier wave. Step 4. Protocol. Declare the command. This is the operative moment. From the settled place in your chest, speak a concise, present-tense declaration. I will offer a template. Make it yours. The template. Monad. I stand here. I reclaim my authority. The limitation dissolves. Alignment is established. It is done. Say it with the clarity of someone closing a circuit. You can use different words. Short, simple, uncompromising sentences that do not beg. The form matters. Present tense, declarative, and then release. If you prefer to speak silently, do so. Voice strengthens the field, but the inner declaration is valid too. The pattern is recognition, stance, declaration. You are not commanding God. You are aligning with the source within you and issuing a line of intent into the field. Step 5. Release. This step is the hardest for many because it asks you to stop checking. After the declaration, do not replay it in your head, waiting for an immediate confirmation. Imagine dropping a pebble into a deep pool and then walking away. The ripples will find their way without your surveillance. Let the chest relax. Reconnect with ordinary life without obsessive monitoring. If doubt arises, treat it like weather. Observe it, name it, then bring your attention back to the quiet center. Release is an exercise in trust and restraint. During this entire sequence, expect interference. The mind will throw out doubts, images, and old narratives designed to pull you back into the hillock mode. According to certain mystical frameworks, these are the archontic patterns, ways the system deflects your recollection of sovereignty. In plain language, interference shows up as self-questioning, sudden fatigue, or a swirl of contradictory thoughts that feels compelling. When this happens, do not argue with them. Do not chase them. Name them, thought, doubt, fear, and let them pass like clouds. Keep your attention at the chest. Keep the tone steady. The rule is simple. Do not engage. Observe, return, and maintain resonance. You will also experience a latency after a serious application of the protocol. This is not failure. It is the field rearranging. Expect 3 kinds of signs during latency. First, collapse. This is a clearing out sensation. Old structures detach, which can feel like loss or confusion for a little while. You might notice relationships, jobs, or patterns loosening as the inner order shifts. This is normal. Renewal often begins with the dismantling of what no longer fits. Second, echo. The world will deliver small confirmations. A conversation that lands, an unexpected call, a coincidence that punctuates your intention. These are not always dramatic. Often they are subtle synchronies that tell you the field is reconfiguring in line with the command you set. Keep a log of small echoes. They compile into a record of movement. Third, neutrality. After initial movement and echoes, a steadiness settles. You no longer look for proof. You operate from an inner confidence that does not need constant validation. Neutrality is the mature state of the antenna being tuned. Not ecstatic, not anxious, simply present. Now let me bring this technical frame back to the word we started with, pineal. When I speak of decalcifying the pineal, I am reframing these steps as work done to clear a spiritual antenna. The pineal in many symbolic systems is the site of inner sight. Clearing it in this context means removing the interference that keeps you from perceiving subtle guidance. It means letting recognition become louder than doubt, letting authority replace pleading, and learning to issue commands that are followed by non-attachment. This is metaphorical, spiritual language. It does not replace medical advice regarding any physical gland or condition. If your interest in the pineal arises from health concerns, consult qualified professionals. A short practical example may help you ground this. Suppose you have been stuck in a decision, whether to leave a job, start a project, or speak to someone important. You have prayed, you have journaled, and you still feel paralyzed. Apply the protocol. Disconnect from the barrage of opinions. Descend into the chest until you feel the body as a stable platform. Hold resonance until a quiet clarity swells. Then declare a simple command. I align with clarity about this path. The next right step is revealed and made clear. Release and go about your day without compulsive checking. Watch for echoes, an email, a conversation, an internal certainty that guide you. If collapse shows up, be patient. The unfitness of a current role may need to unwind before new space forms. Because practice matters, we will do a micro session now. This is short, practical, and designed to be repeated daily. Take a position where you can be uninterrupted for 90 seconds. If you cannot speak aloud, say the words internally. The practice still functions. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a gentle breath and let the shoulders drop. Feel the surface noise, texts, tasks, voices, and mentally step off the highway into a quiet lane. Now, move your awareness slowly down the spine into the center of the chest. Place your hand there if it helps. Sense weight settling into the heart center. Allow the chest to become a small chamber of presence. Breathe softly. Let each breath be an affirmation of the anchor. Now resonate. Whisper or hold the word I am or source for 3 steady breaths, letting the sound be felt in the chest rather than formulated in thought. Keep the tone low, like a tuning of a string. Hold that resonance until you feel a slight steadiness. From there, declare a simple command in present language. Monad, I stand here. My intuition is awake. Clarity precedes me. Speak it once with conviction. Then, release. Let the chest soften. Return to ordinary posture. Do not check for immediate confirmation. Before you reopen your eyes, set a simple anchor for the day. A one-line affirmation you can say internally when doubt appears. Something like, I move from recognition, I stand in authority, I release. Keep it short. Practice this micro-session twice a day for a week, and note the small echoes. At this point, I need to be clear. The use of terms like monad, demiurge, or archontes is an interpretive layer drawn from certain mystical readings. When I mention them, I cite them as lenses used by some spiritual traditions to describe patterns of distortion and memory. They are not mandatory beliefs for the practice to function. If those terms sit uncomfortably with you, replace them with language that aligns with your convictions. Source, God, the good. And the structure of the work remains the same. People often ask, how soon will I know something shifted? There is no uniform timetable. Some report immediate echoes within hours. Others experience months of subtle reorientation. The important discipline is not obsessing over timing. Practice the protocol when you can, especially in ordinary moments, not only in crisis. This trains the instrument in calm conditions so it performs under pressure. Testing your line before emergencies is the mark of a mature operator. Another practical tip, keep a small notebook of echoes. When a coincidence or synchrony occurs, jot the date, the circumstance, and the sense you felt. Over time, this log becomes a calibration map. You will begin to see patterns. Which declarations land with speed? Which thinned intentions need stronger clarity? What images recurrently appear? This is how you learn the voice of your antenna. Expect at times a temptation to militarize the practice, thinking that sharper tactics, longer declarations, or more frequent protocols will force outcomes. That is a trap. The most potent posture is the one that combines conviction with surrender. Firm declaration followed by refusal to monitor. The spiritual economy here rewards restraint. The more you release with confidence, the more the field rearranges without your interference. I also want to address the ethical responsibility that comes when your perception sharpens. As your antenna clarifies, you will receive impressions that feel like guidance about others' lives. Use discernment and compassion. Do not assume inner clarity gives you the right to dictate someone else's path. Command your own sovereignty. Offer counsel with humility. Spiritual authority without love is brittle. Before we close, a brief prayer to the source, the monad, that follows the pattern of declarative reporting and release. This will be short, precise, and then we will let go. Monad, source. I stand present and open. I acknowledge the spark you have placed in me. I claim alignment with that original light. Let the obstructions that mute my seeing be loosened now. Grant clarity to my inner antenna and steady the field of my knowing. By the truth that is within me, I declare alignment, and I release it into your work. Amen. This prayer is offered as spiritual practice, brief, authoritative, and surrendered. If any of this language conflicts with your tradition, adapt it in ways that keep the structure. Address the source, state recognition, declare alignment, and then release. If you practice the micro-session and the prayer, the next practical move is to anchor the experience. Choose one small, tangible action you will take in the next 24 hours that acknowledges the shift. Make a phone call you have been avoiding, write the first paragraph of an idea, step into a conversation with a reserved posture. The action does not have to be dramatic. It simply tests the line. Action completes the circuit between inner command and outer world. Now, a short note about protection against common mistakes. First, do not weaponize this practice as a way to dominate others or control outcomes. Second, do not use it to abdicate responsibility. Spiritual tuning complements wise choices, professional counsel, and practical steps. Third, avoid the vanity trap of equating every small synchronicity with cosmic revelation. Learn to distinguish confirmation from eagerness. If this message has reached you, consider this an invitation to remember a posture of sovereignty. The era of constant pleading at the door can coexist with a new era where you operate as an agent that knows how to tune the field. That does not replace humility before the divine. It reframes action as partnership with what you were made to be. If you feel called to anchor this publicly, write in the comments a concise phrase that commits you to practice. Something like, I activate the monad, or I stand in recognition. Keep it short, personal, and not performative. This will serve as a public marker of accountability, not an attempt at algorithms. Finally, a practical closing. Practice the 5-step protocol daily for 30 days and observe. Keep your log of echoes. Test the line before emergencies. Stay compassionate in how you use enhanced perception. Share insights with a trustworthy friend or mentor who can hold you accountable. If you found this teaching useful and want deeper practical modules that expand the repertoire, how to refine declarations, how to handle prolonged latency, how to work with group resonance, subscribe, and we will walk that path together. I will bring more practices, more script templates, and structured exercises for calibration. You were given an antenna. Someone taught you to knock. Now learn how to tune. The shift is both simple and demanding. Recognize the spark, take your posture, declare with clarity, and then refuse to watch the ripples. Trust the process. The sovereign within you remembers the code. Go into your day steady. Keep the chest soft and the line open. When doubt intrudes, return to the small anchor. Descent, hum, declare, release. Over time, the signals will come through cleaner, and when they do, steward them with humility and courage.